High Admiral Zixtal of the Galactic Confederation stood aboard the bridge of the Stellar Dominance, his crystalline form refracting the starlight as he studied the holographic display before him. The human fleet had just appeared at the edge of their detection range, and what he saw made his crystalline structure vibrate with amusement. "These are their warships?" he asked, his voice resonating through the bridge. "Our scans must be malfunctioning." The fleet approaching them appeared to be nothing more than a collection of asteroids, their surfaces rough and pockmarked, trailing debris and ice crystals in their wake. Scattered among them were what looked like primitive mining vessels, their hulls bearing the scars of decades of use. "Scans are functioning perfectly," Admiral reported his senior sensor officer, Nenra. Her tentacles worked rapidly across the control interface. "Those are indeed the primary defensive vessels of the Sol system." The Confederation fleet had arrived to assess Earth's readiness for joining the galactic community. Standard protocol dictated that any species achieving faster-than-light travel be evaluated for membership. However, what they found seemed to contradict their intelligence reports. "They achieved FTL travel 3 years ago," Nenra continued. "Yet their ships appear to be—" She paused, searching for a diplomatic term. "Primitive," Zixtal finished for her, "like children playing with toys in a stellar nursery." A communication request flashed across their screens. The humans were hailing them. Zixtal straightened his crystalline form, preparing to deliver the standard greeting to a lesser species. "Accept the transmission," he ordered. The holographic display shifted, revealing the human woman with dark skin and silver-streaked hair. She wore what appeared to be a simple gray uniform with no adornments or rank insignia. Behind her, the bridge of her vessel looked more like a mining operations control room than a military command center. "This is Fleet Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force," she announced, her voice calm and measured. "You've entered restricted space. Please state your intentions." Zixtal's crystalline structure sparkled with barely contained mirth. "I am High Admiral Zixtal of the Galactic Confederation. We are here to evaluate your species' readiness for membership in our Grand Alliance. Though I must say, your current level of technological development is concerning." Commander Chen's expression remained neutral. "Concerning in what way, Admiral?" "Your vessels appear to be repurposed mining equipment and captured asteroids. Surely you don't consider this a proper defense fleet?" A slight smile crossed Chen's face. "Admiral, have you ever heard of the leafcutter ant?" The non sequitur caught Zixtal off guard. "I'm not familiar with Earth species." "They're fascinating creatures," Chen continued. "They appear to be simple insects carrying leaves, but they're actually farming fungi, maintaining complex environmental controls, and running sophisticated chemical warfare operations. Appearances can be deceiving." Before Zixtal could respond, his sensor officer's voice cut through the conversation. "Admiral, energy signatures are— This can't be right." The asteroids were moving, not the slow, controlled drift they had detected before, but with precise, calculated maneuvers that should have been impossible for objects of their mass. Their surfaces began to shift, layers of rock falling away to reveal sleek, metallic hulls underneath. The mining vessels transformed as well. Panels slid away, revealing weapon systems unlike anything in the Confederation's database. What had appeared to be simple maintenance drones swarmed into complex formations, their bodies interconnecting to form larger, more sophisticated units. "You see, Admiral," Chen continued, her smile growing slightly wider. "Humans have a long history of adapting to overcome more powerful adversaries. We learned early on that looking threatening isn't nearly as useful as being threatening." Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with alarm as new sensor readings flooded his displays. The debris field trailing behind the asteroids wasn't debris at all. It was a cloud of quantum-entangled particles, creating a sophisticated sensor network that had been analyzing his fleet since the moment they arrived. "New energy signatures detected," Nenra called out. "The human fleet is generating some kind of— The space around them is folding." "As I was saying," Chen's voice remained calm, about those leafcutter ants. They survive not by being the biggest or strongest, but by being clever, adaptable, and working together. Humanity has taken a similar approach to space warfare. The transformed fleet now surrounded the Confederation ships in a complex three-dimensional formation. What had appeared to be a primitive, disorganized group of vessels was now revealed to be a highly coordinated battle group, each ship positioned precisely to take advantage of their unique capabilities. Now then, Chen continued, shall we discuss Confederation membership as equals? Or would you prefer a demonstration of why appearance and reality aren't always the same thing? For the first time in his long career, High Admiral Zixtal felt something he had never expected to experience when dealing with a pre-Confederation species: uncertainty. These humans hadn't just achieved spaceflight, they had reimagined it entirely. Perhaps, he said carefully, his crystalline structure shifting to a more diplomatic configuration, we should begin our discussions again. It seems we have much to learn from each other. Commander Chen nodded. A wise choice, Admiral. And your first lesson is free. Never judge a book by its cover, or a fleet by its camouflage. As the diplomatic channels opened, Zixtal couldn't help but wonder what other surprises these humans had hidden beneath their seemingly primitive exterior. One thing was certain: the Galactic Confederation would never look at Earth the same way again. The observation deck of the Stellar Dominance offered a perfect view of the transformed Earth fleet. High Admiral Zixtal stood with Commander Chen, his crystalline form reflecting the subtle shifts of the human vessels as they maintained their defensive formation. Each movement revealed new aspects of their design that challenged everything he thought he knew about space warfare. Your ships, he began, gesturing toward what had appeared to be a simple asteroid minutes ago. They don't conform to any known design principles. How did you develop this technology? Chen smiled, watching as one of the smaller vessels demonstrated its transformation capabilities, layers of smart matter flowing like liquid metal to reconfigure its external structure. We didn't develop new technology, Admiral. We learned from nature. She pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's oceans. Consider the octopus. It can change not just its color, but its texture and shape. It can become rigid or fluid, visible or nearly invisible. Our ships do the same, using programmable matter inspired by cellular structures. The display shifted to show the internal architecture of one of Earth's vessels. What Zixtal had dismissed as primitive construction was revealed to be an intricate network of adaptive systems. Every component could change its function based on the situation, much like living tissue responding to environmental stress. But the energy requirements. Zixtal's sensor officer, Nenra, had joined them, her tentacles writhing with scientific curiosity. The power needed to maintain such transformations should be enormous. That's where the quantum biology comes in, Chen explained, expanding the hologram. We discovered that certain biological processes use quantum effects for energy efficiency. We applied those principles to our ship designs. Each vessel is essentially a massive quantum organism, capable of channeling energy through dimensional shortcuts. A demonstration played out before them. One of Earth's smaller ships encountered a piece of space debris. Instead of shields flaring or weapons firing, the vessel's hull simply parted like water, allowing the debris to pass through harmlessly before reforming. Remarkable, Nenra whispered. You've created living ships. Not exactly living, Chen corrected, but they do learn and adapt. Each engagement makes them more efficient, more capable. They share experiences through quantum entanglement, evolving their strategies in real time. Zixtal's crystalline structure pulsed with sudden understanding. The debris field your ships were trailing. It wasn't just a sensor network, was it? No, Chen confirmed. It's a quantum neural network. Each particle is entangled with every ship in our fleet, allowing for instantaneous communication and coordination. No signals to intercept, no commands to jam. The implications were staggering. The Confederation's entire approach to space combat relied on disrupting enemy communications and overwhelming their command structure. But how do you disrupt something that doesn't use traditional communications? How do you overwhelm a fleet that thinks and acts as a single organism? "Watch this," Chen said, sending a command through her neural interface. The largest of Earth's vessels, the one that had most convincingly mimicked an asteroid, began to change. Its surface rippled like the skin of some vast sea creature, and suddenly it wasn't one ship anymore. It had split into dozens of smaller craft, each one fully autonomous yet still connected to the greater whole. "We call it the Hydra Protocol," Chen explained. "Cut off one head, two more take its place. Try to disable our command structure, and each fragment becomes a new command center. The more you try to disrupt us, the more complex and resilient we become." Nendra's tentacles moved rapidly across her sensor interface. "The energy readings, they're impossible. Your ships are somehow generating more power than they're consuming." "Quantum tunneling," Chen said. "We harvest energy from parallel probability states. The more chaotic the situation, the more energy becomes available. In essence, Admiral, the harder you hit us, the stronger we get." Zixtel turned to face Chen directly, his crystalline form shifting to convey deep respect. "Commander, I must ask, why reveal all of this to us? Surely these are military secrets of the highest order." Chen's expression grew serious. "Because, Admiral, we want you to understand something fundamental about humanity. We don't want to fight you. We don't want to prove our superiority or challenge your authority. What we want is to learn from you, to share knowledge, to grow together. But," she paused, letting her words sink in, "we also want you to understand exactly what you'd be facing if you ever mistake our desire for peace as a sign of weakness." The demonstration concluded with Earth's fleet reforming into their original configurations, once again appearing as nothing more than a collection of asteroids and mining ships. But now Zixtel saw them for what they truly were: a revolution in space warfare, a complete reimagining of what was possible. As he watched the seemingly primitive vessels resume their patrol, he couldn't help but wonder what other secrets humanity had hidden beneath their unassuming exterior. One thing was certain: the Galactic Confederation's technological superiority was no longer as absolute as they had believed. The age of predictable, standardized warfare was over. The humans had changed everything, not by surpassing existing technology, but by approaching it from an entirely different direction. The future, Zixtel realized, would belong to those who could adapt. And humanity, it seemed, had made adaptation into an art form. The holographic chamber aboard the Stellar Dominance hummed with activity as Commander Chen led a delegation of Confederation analysts through a comprehensive overview of Earth's defensive network. What they discovered left even the most experienced strategic minds struggling to process the implications. "Your entire solar system," Nenre observed, her tentacles weaving complex patterns of disbelief. "It's all connected." Chen nodded, manipulating the holographic display to show the full scope of Earth's defense grid. What appeared to be natural astronomical phenomena, meteor fields, solar wind patterns, even the magnetic fields of the gas giants, were revealed as components of an intricate defensive network. "We call it the Gaia Protocol," Chen explained. "Every natural phenomenon in our solar system has been subtly modified to serve a dual purpose. Those meteor fields, quantum-entangled sensor arrays, the solar wind, a delivery system for programmable nanites. Even the gas giants' magnetic fields have been tuned to create a solar system-wide quantum communication network." High Admiral Zixtel's crystalline structure pulsed with a mix of awe and concern as he studied the display. "You've weaponized nature itself." "Not weaponized," Chen corrected. "Enhanced. Everything we've done works with natural processes, not against them. Take our asteroid belt defense line." She highlighted a seemingly random collection of space rocks. "We didn't place weapons platforms there. Instead, we introduced self-replicating quantum computers the size of dust particles. They spread through the natural movement of asteroids, creating a distributed defense network that's virtually impossible to detect or destroy. The hologram shifted to show Earth itself. What had appeared to be normal weather patterns revealed themselves as carefully orchestrated atmospheric phenomena, capable of being redirected for defensive purposes. Ocean currents carried vast networks of microscopic sensors. Even the planet's magnetic field had been modified to create a planetary-scale quantum shield. "By the eternal stars," whispered strategic analyst Vector, speaking for the first time since the briefing began. "Your entire civilization is a weapon." "No," Chen said firmly. "Our entire civilization is a shield. Everything we've created is designed first for peaceful purposes, with defensive capabilities as a secondary function. Those quantum computers in the asteroid belt, they're primarily focused on astronomical research. The modified magnetic fields, they're studying space-time distortions. We're scientists first, warriors second." Zixtal moved closer to the hologram, his crystalline form refracting the light in patterns that indicated deep thought. "But the strategic implications, you've made it impossible to launch a conventional attack against your system. Any hostile force would be fighting the very fabric of space itself." "That's the point," Chen said. "We designed our defenses to make warfare itself impractical. The cost of attacking us would far outweigh any potential benefits." She paused, bringing up a new display. "But that's just the passive layer of our defense." The hologram expanded to show what appeared to be normal space stations and satellite networks. As they watched, these seemingly mundane structures began to shift and transform, revealing hidden capabilities that defied conventional military doctrine. "Each civilian installation in our system has defensive protocols built into its basic structure," Chen explained. "Not weapons. We found those to be too limiting. Instead, we developed what we call spatial origami. Our stations can literally fold space around themselves, creating temporal barriers, gravitational lenses, and quantum mirrors." Nenra's tentacles moved rapidly across her sensor interface. "The energy requirements for such manipulations are provided by the phenomena themselves," Chen finished. "We don't generate the energy. We harvest it from natural processes: solar wind, gravitational interactions, quantum fluctuations. The more energy an attacker expends, the more power becomes available to our defenses." Vector stepped forward, his analytical mind racing. "You've created a perfect defense, not by building bigger weapons or stronger shields, but by making your entire solar system into a single, interconnected organism." "Not perfect," Chen corrected, "just different. We looked at conventional military doctrine and realized its limitations. Instead of trying to control space, we learned to work with it. Instead of building defenses to resist attack, we created systems that absorb and redirect energy. Every asteroid, every solar flare, every gravitational eddy is part of our defense." The hologram shifted one final time, showing the full scope of Earth's defensive network. What had seemed like random natural phenomena now revealed itself as an intricate dance of interconnected systems, each working in harmony with natural laws, while extending them in ways the Confederation had never imagined. "The truly remarkable thing," Chen concluded, "is that everything you're seeing was developed in just a few decades. Not because we're more advanced than the Confederation, but because we approached the problem from a different direction. We didn't ask how to build better weapons, we asked how to make warfare itself obsolete." As the briefing concluded, Zixtal found himself reevaluating everything he thought he knew about military power. The Confederation had spent millennia perfecting the art of warfare, developing ever more powerful weapons and defenses. But these humans, in just a few short decades, had fundamentally changed the rules of the game. They hadn't built a better military. They had reimagined the very concept of defense. And in doing so, they had created something that even the mighty Confederation fleet couldn't hope to overcome. The Grand Council chamber of the Stellar Dominance had never hosted a meeting quite like this one. High Admiral Zixtal sat across from Commander Chen, his crystalline form carefully arranged in what his species considered a neutral diplomatic configuration. Around them, holograms flickered with representatives from various Confederation worlds, all drawn by the unprecedented revelations about Earth's capabilities. "Let us be clear," began Council Elder Mixra, her energy form pulsing with barely contained agitation. "You possess technology that could revolutionize not just warfare, but every aspect of space travel and colonization. Yet you claim to have no interest in military expansion." Chen smiled, a gesture that still puzzled many of the alien observers. "What we have isn't just technology, Elder. It's a philosophy, one that we're willing to share, under the right circumstances." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of translated discussions. The possibility of accessing Earth's innovations had drawn the attention of every major power in the Confederation. But Chen's next words silenced the chamber. "However," she continued, "we have conditions. First and foremost, any technology we share must be used for peaceful purposes only. Our innovations aren't weapons to be hoarded. They're tools for exploration and understanding." Zixtel watched as the council members processed this declaration. In all his years of service, he'd never encountered a species that achieved technological superiority and didn't immediately seek to leverage it for military advantage. "An admirable sentiment," spoke Trade Minister Veclora, her crystalline form shifting to diplomatic patterns. "But surely you understand our concern. Your technology represents a significant shift in the balance of power. The Confederation must ensure stability." Chen's expression remained calm, but her voice carried a subtle edge. "Minister, with respect, that balance of power shifted the moment your fleet entered our system. You just didn't realize it until now. We're not here to negotiate from a position of weakness." To demonstrate her point, she activated a personal hologram projector. The image showed Earth's solar system, but now highlighted with thousands of previously undetected quantum signatures. "What you've seen so far is barely a fraction of our capabilities. Every asteroid, every comet, every piece of space debris in our system is part of our defense network. We don't need to threaten or coerce. Reality itself is our ally." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Confederation's greatest advantage had always been its unified military force. But Earth had just demonstrated that conventional military power was obsolete against their approach to defense. "Then what do you propose?" asked Zixtal, his crystalline structure reflecting the tension in the chamber. "Partnership," Chen replied simply. "Real partnership, not the hierarchical structure you're used to. We'll share our quantum biology innovations, our spatial folding technology, our biomimetic engineering. In exchange, we want access to your knowledge of the galaxy, your experience with different species and civilizations, and your assistance in exploring beyond our solar system." "And if we refuse?" questioned Elder Mixra. "Then we'll continue our development alone," Chen said. "We'll expand at our own pace, develop our own understanding of the galaxy. But consider this. If we've achieved this much in isolation, imagine what we could accomplish together." The logic was undeniable. Earth's innovations weren't just military advantages. They were solutions to problems that had plagued spacefaring civilizations for millennia. Energy efficiency, faster-than-light communication, adaptive technology that could survive in any environment. These were revolutionary advances that could benefit all species. "There's something else you should consider," Chen added, her tone softening. "Everything we've shown you. It's first-generation technology. We've barely scratched the surface of what's possible. We don't want to keep these advances to ourselves. We want to see how far we can push the boundaries of what's possible when different species work together." Zixtel's crystalline form shifted as realization dawned. These humans hadn't just developed new technology. They'd created a new paradigm for understanding the universe itself. Their approach to defense wasn't about domination or control. It was about harmony with natural laws, about finding ways to work with the fundamental forces of reality rather than against them. "I move," he announced, his voice resonating through the chamber, "that we accept Earth's proposal for partnership. Not because we fear their power, but because they've shown us a new way forward, one that could benefit all species in the Confederation. The chamber erupted in discussion once again, but the tone had changed. What had begun as a tense diplomatic confrontation was transforming into something else, the first steps toward a genuine partnership between Earth and the Confederation, one that promised to reshape the future of galactic civilization. One standard galactic year after the historic first contact between Earth and the Confederation, the Sol system had become a hub of interstellar cooperation and innovation. High Admiral Zixtal stood aboard the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's newest space installation, watching as vessels from across the galaxy moved through the quantum-folded space around them. "It's remarkable how much has changed," he said to Commander Chen, who had recently been promoted to Earth's ambassador to the Confederation. His crystalline form sparkled with the reflected light of a nearby vessel undergoing biomimetic transformation, a Confederation ship retrofitted with Earth's adaptive technology. "Change was inevitable," Chen replied, studying a holographic display showing the progress of various joint projects. "But the direction of that change, that was something we could influence." The display showed dozens of initiatives where human innovation had merged with Confederation expertise. Merchant vessels now used quantum biology principles to adapt to different planetary environments without needing specialized modifications. Space stations could fold themselves into pocket dimensions during solar storms, emerging unscathed when danger passed. The mining guilds report a 300% increase in efficiency, reported Science Director Nenra, who had become one of the strongest advocates for human Confederation cooperation. Her tentacles danced across multiple interfaces as she compiled data. By applying your biomimetic principles to their equipment, they can now extract resources without damaging planetary ecosystems. But the most profound changes weren't technological. They were philosophical. The Confederation's rigid hierarchy had given way to a more adaptive, collaborative approach. Species that had once competed for resources now work together, finding ways to enhance natural processes rather than exploit them. "Tell me, Ambassador," Zixtal said. Turning to Chen, "did you anticipate this level of transformation when you first revealed your capabilities to us?" Chen smiled, watching as a swarm of quantum-enhanced maintenance drones repaired a passing ship, their movements mimicking the behavior of Earth's coral reefs. "We hoped for it. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to imagine different possibilities. We look at problems not as obstacles to overcome, but as opportunities to evolve." The station's quantum field rippled as a new ship emerged from folded space. It was unlike anything seen before. A joint human Confederation design that incorporated principles from a dozen different species. Its hull shifted like living tissue. Its energy systems worked in harmony with natural space-time fluctuations, and its very structure seemed to blur the line between technology and life. "The Stellar Seed," Nenra announced proudly. "First of the new Explorer-class vessels. Designed not to conquer space, but to understand it, to work with it, to become part of it." The ship's design embodied everything that the Human Confederation partnership represented. It could adapt to any environment, communicate with any species, and study phenomena that previous generations of scientists had considered impossible to observe. But more than that, it represented a new way of thinking about humanity's place in the cosmos. "You've changed the way we see everything," Zixtal admitted, his crystalline structure reflecting the complex patterns of the Stellar Seed's quantum field. "Not just space travel or defense, but our entire relationship with the universe." Chen nodded, watching as the Explorer vessel began its first mission. "That was always the goal. When we first developed our adaptive technology, we could have used it to build the most powerful weapons the galaxy had ever seen. Instead, we chose to look for ways to work with natural laws rather than trying to dominate them." The holographic display shifted to show various scenes from across Confederation space. Worlds that had been deemed uninhabitable were now hosting thriving colonies, their environments enhanced rather than conquered. Ancient space lanes had been transformed by quantum folding technology, creating new connections between previously isolated species. Even the Confederation's mighty warships had been repurposed, their weapons replaced with exploration and research equipment. The funny thing is, Chen continued, by choosing not to focus on military power, we've created something far more powerful than any weapon. Understanding. Real understanding of how the universe works, and how we can work with it rather than against it. Zixtal's form shifted to indicate agreement. And in doing so, you've given us all a new purpose. The Confederation was built on the principle of strength through unity, but you've shown us that true strength comes from adaptation and cooperation, not just with each other, but with the fundamental forces of reality itself. As they watched the stellar seed disappear into the quantum-folded space, beginning its journey into unknown regions of the galaxy, Chen reflected on how far they'd come. What had begun as a potential military confrontation had evolved into something far more significant, a fundamental shift in how intelligent species interacted with the universe and each other. "This is just the beginning," she said, her eyes fixed on the point where the explorer ship had vanished. "There's so much more to discover, so many new possibilities to explore. And we'll do it together, not as conquerors or competitors, but as students of the universe itself." The stars seemed to shimmer in agreement, their light passing through layers of quantum-enhanced space, carrying the promise of a future where technology and nature, artificial and organic, power and wisdom had all found their balance at last.